Good morning, students. I welcome you all for the series of the video session on the subject of business organization. In the third unit, we are learning about the concept of organization. In the earlier class, we have started and learned some forms of business organization structures which are more commonly and widely used across the business functional areas and business organizations, like line and staff, departmentation, and so on. Today, we will go for another two more formal level of organizational structures, namely matrix organization as well as the project organization. Today, at the initial level, we will go for the learning of the matrix organization. So what actually the matrix is? This type of organization structure is also called as grid organization structure. Sometimes we refer it as matrix organization structure, sometimes we refer as grid organization structure. Then what is a matrix actually? A matrix is an arrangement of elements with the rows and columns. That is what we call it in a mathematical sense. What is matrix? Matrix is an arrangement of elements in a rows and columns manner, and in the similar manner in some of the organizations where the nature of business and the scope of business and the advent of use of technology and its operations are also so vast, in such a case of organizations we use this type of organizational structure which is most preferred here. So that's why we will go for the learning of the matrix form of organizational structure, or sometimes it is also called as matrix departmentation. Whatever it may be, it is also called as grid organization structure. So in this particular context, what we can observe by the nature of its configuration, it is a composite way or a blended form of the business organization structure. It is a blended form, means it is a combination of several formal organization structures putting together as per the need, convenience and the requirement on the part of the management. Henceforth, they will go for the use of distinct and different combinations of the organizational structures during the course of designing the organizational structure for the requirement of conducting the business activities and actions. And most of the times this is also used very widely in this big multinational corporations or huge organizational business activity which have a product mix in nature, having different product lines and sub product lines. So in that particular context, this type of organizational structure is mostly used. Here, how we will go for the verification of how it would be. The top level is with the president or CEO, and it is having several rows and several columns. Now we will have here different combinations. The first column we will have here product A, product B, product C, and so on and so forth. N number of products. Under each category, you have different functional areas provided to you, like finance, marketing, production, research and development, others. Under each area, you will have the different obligatory parts here. Product A, under the finance, we have Vice President Finance. Right? Under that we have General Manager Finance. Under that you have like that. Everywhere you will have the combination of various things here. So for the convenience of ours, let us go for the finance department, product A, right? Product B, product C, and so on. The marketing department, product A, product B, product C, and so on, right? The production department, product A, product B, product C, and so on. Like that, you will have a combination of different products under a single product line or different product lines as a product mix of obligation. So, in this manner, every area will have its bifurcation. So, for example, take the case of President CEO Marketing, product A. Under the product A, you will have several other combinations. Like what? Vice President Marketing. Under that, General Manager Marketing. Under that, Regional Manager Marketing. And so on. Up to the last leg of the marketing department. So, in this way, it is a combination of a grid. It is a combination of rows and columns putting together to go for a wide area of coverage of its business functionary areas across the products and product lines as a product mix as a whole of the total group of organization or group of institutions in the organization, group of companies in the organization. And today we will have maximum group of organizations. Under each group of organization, again there are subgroups of organization. So that's why this is mostly used in the case of the matrix or grid organization structure. Now coming to the question of the second form, that is what? Project organization. Now we will go for project organization. Project organization structure. Here there is a president or CEO or managing director, whoever may be the top boss of the organization will be there at the high level. Under that, everywhere you will have the bifurcation of, for example, the group is organizing several projects. Particularly this is applied in the case of the construction industry, in the case of the manufacturing industry, or in the case of service sector where several projects are being handed out. So we will have here project A, project B, project C, project D, project E, and so on. So the total group is being run in the form of project wise. So under each project you will have the line and staff and other functionary areas. So project A, there is a head for project A. The overall head is a CEO. Now under the project A, vice president project A, vice president project B, vice president project C, vice president project D, vice president project D. Like that, we will have a way of organizing the things in a project wise manner. Under each project, you will have again the bifurcation of the authority and responsibility from top level to the bottom level. For example, under the vice president, general manager accounting, general manager finance, general manager production, general manager operations, general manager R&D, everywhere. Under each category, you will have project-wise bifurcation. So when once you will go for the overall organizational project-wise management of the organizational hierarchy and authority and responsibility by way of giving the total work to be completed under each project, this will be coming under the project organization structure. This is the way how we will have the organizational structure under the matrix or grid organization as well as the project type of organizational structure. Now the next point what we will cover under this subject is the span of control. This is again one of the principles of Henry Fayol 14 principles. What is a span of control? The span of control means the number of subordinates that can be managed efficiently and effectively by a superior in an organization. Why it is required? It suggests how the relations are designed between a superior and the subordinate in an organization. Basing upon how many people will come under whom and how many quantity, what is the nature and scope of the particular controlling authority under a particular given situation, that will be coming under the span of control. Span means the scope, how much it covers in. So on what factors the span of control is based upon or affected upon? The first one is capacity of the superior. Capacity of the superior. Second, capacity of the subordinate. Capacity of the subordinate. Next one is nature of work. Nature of work. The next item is degree of centralization and decentralization. Degree of centralization or decentralization. Degree of centralization and decentralization. Next one is degree of planning. Degree of planning. The next one is communication system or communication pattern, basing upon the pattern of communication in the organization. Next one is the pattern of communication under the use of staff assistants. These are the points on which the span of control being organized. For example, if there is a superior who is having more experience, more talent, more skills and more knowledge and having more capacity to deal more number of subordinates, henceforth the span of control here is depending upon them. In the case of a person who is a new entrant into a supervisory area, who do not have that much of exposure, there is a need of low level or minimum quantity of subordinates to be kept under the particular superior. Otherwise, if he is an experienced, he can handle more number of subordinates. Now coming to the next one, capacity of the subordinates. If the subordinates are too fresh, there is a need of close supervision. Automatically, the superior should have to handle minimum number of subordinates. If the subordinates are more qualified, more experienced, already having more experience, automatically they need how to work. Henceforth, there is no need of a close supervision. Henceforth, there is a broad span of control. More number of subordinates can be controlled by a single superior. Next one, the nature of work. If the nature of work is too critical, too clumsy, or having too much of hardships, or having too much logically it is required, henceforth there is a need of close supervision. So the span of control basically it deals with the narrow supervision or wide or dispersed. supervision. So if if the nature of work is too much of critical and logical and risky, henceforth there is a need of narrow or a close supervision. If it is not that much of critical, henceforth there is a wide normal nature of work, there is a need of wide supervision. Next, the degree of centralization, decentralization. How the management thinks in. If the management thinks in there is a need of more centralization, the supervision is closer. If the management thinks there is no need of close supervision, hence decentralization will be taken. Next, the degree of planning. At the time of planning the organizational functions as well as the total actions and activity to be controlled by the organization, the planning facilitates need to have a close supervision or a wide supervision. Next, the communication pattern. If the organization is following only formal communication from top to bottom and bottom to top in a structured manner, in a more compact manner, then there is a need of close supervision. If the organization goes for the combination of both formal and informal communication means automatically there is a need of wide supervision. Next one, the use of staff assistance. If the staff are more and their assistance is properly being allowed and being given to all, there is a need of wide supervision. If the staff is limited, there is no need of close supervision. There is no need of wide supervision. Automatically, a close supervision is essential. That is the way how the span of control is going to provide us the need for the formation of the organizational structure. So, one of the elements of any organizational structure is the span of control. And the second one, apart from the span of control, is the delegation of authority and responsibility. Centralization and decentralization. If you want to delegate everything to all, there is a huge decentralization. If there is no need to delegate or no choice to delegate or no preference to delegate and to keep everything with a person, that comes under the centralization. So the delegation of authority and responsibility depends upon the centralization or the decentralization decision taken by the management of the authority, and that is also replicated through the organizational structure, right? This is what we have to cover today, and we'll go for the learning of the other things by starting the next part of the same unit or the other unit in the next class. Thank you very much.